Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and welcome to another episode of my weekly Q&A show titled People's Questions, episode 247. We got a much larger episode than I believe last week with, I believe, one or two first-timers, so that'll be good. Starting off real simple with usually the first person you always get your questions in first, Mr. Santiago Scarpino. And you want to know, what are my thoughts on Doom being called the best action-adventure game of the year at the Game Awards? I'll be honest, I don't really take the Game Awards seriously. I think most people know it's kind of rigged. It's not. I don't really think it has any real legitimacy. I think it's cute, but Doom was definitely one of the better games that I played this year. So the fact that it got an award for best action adventure game, whoop-de-doo. I mean, I don't think it needs it. That was a fun game on its own. So thanks, but heck, it wasn't really necessary. Next question comes from Zyborg136. You want to know, I'm getting a PlayStation 4 soon. I'm mainly buying it for the exclusives because I already own an Xbox One. So my question is, what 3 exclusives should I buy? If I could pick just 3 off the top of my head, the 3 that I would suggest you get. If you're a big fan of platformers, definitely pick up Ratchet and Clank. By far, one of the definitely Game of the Year contender, at least for me. Then I would follow that up with Infamous Second Son, which is an older game, but I was able to play it at PlayStation Experience, and if you actually get to play it on the PlayStation 4 Pro, if you plan on getting that, and you're playing on the right TV, it can actually look pretty incredible. But without question, if you're going to buy a PlayStation 4, I think this is the one game that should just come with all PlayStation 4s from this point on. You need to get Uncharted 4: Thief's End. Definitely the quintessential PlayStation exclusive system seller. There's no other contender to that title, at least at this point. I mean, I know that The Last Guardian just came out, but I haven't had a chance to play that yet. That's what I'm playing next because I just finished beating Final Fantasy 15, which I will be sure to get that review up as quickly as I can. But up to this point, this is what I would recommend the most. Next question comes from Matt Cruz, and he wants to know, if they ever made Infamous 4, should they stick with Dolson as the main character or have him play a supporting role with new protagonists? Well, it's questionable if there's even a real Infamous 3. I mean, Infamous Second Son isn't called Infamous 3. So, if they ever decide to, like, say, bring Cole back, they could initially call it Infamous 3, and it would just continue from that storyline, because, we're not even entirely sure if Cole is permanently dead. They hinted at maybe he might be around in Infamous Second Son, but I guess, I mean, if they wanted to continue using Dolson, then I would suggest they call it, Infamous Second Son 2. But I personally didn't really like Dolson all that much. I mean, he was an okay character, but he just wasn't as cool as Cole. So personally, I wouldn't mind seeing him in a supporting role for a new protagonist. But yeah, those are just my initial thoughts. Next question comes from Mr. Matthew M. Keller, and he wants to know, if I want to do a comic/novel series on any Resident Evil character, who would I choose? Without question, Albert Wesker. He's clearly the most popular character, so I know that the comic novel would sell. But he's also the most mysterious character. All the main protagonists' entire careers are pretty much already on display. You can kind of look it up and kind of see what their history within the franchise is. But Wesker has always been more of a puppet master. He's kind of been manipulating events in the shadows, at least up until Resident Evil 5, when he kind of took a front presence. I would love to write a novel series of, like, say, Wesker's journal, of him kind of sharing his thoughts or what his plans are throughout the course of the franchise, from, say, Resident Evil 1 all the way to Resident Evil 5 when he eventually died. So it would be kind of like his journal of his thoughts on, what his plans are, where he get the idea for Burroughs, people that he's met, keeping track of his former allies, kind of seeing what's Chris been doing, what's Leon been doing, because, maybe he's keeping an eye on Leon. I would love to write a series about that. Next question comes from Michael Beall, and you want to know, what are my thoughts on the Tokyo Game Show 2016 Death Stranding trailer? Oh, well, hey, Kojima does it again. He's usually really good coming up with these very, very new trailers. We still don't really have any gameplay. We're still not entirely sure what this game is about. And that's exactly what I like about Kojima, is that he has the ability. He's very much like Christopher Nolan, which is why, in terms of video games, Hideo Kojima is like my favorite gaming director, while Christopher Nolan is my favorite movie director. They both have this unique ability to be able to give a lot of detail about the next project without really giving you any concrete information. So it's up to the viewer to interpret what the game is going to be about. And I thought that this trailer continues that trend. I thought it was just phenomenal. I liked how Benicio del Toro kind of had like a, I guess, I'm not sure if it was a cameo because he was in it for a lot. And then you had Matt Mikkelsen making his appearance, which, he's been in a lot of stuff lately. So, just visually, it was just very impressive. So again, I'm pumped up. I want to know what year it's coming out. Hopefully it'll come out either 2017, maybe 2018, and that will certainly be my most anticipated game of that year. Next question comes from, I believe, the first newbie, going by the name of RichHomie. I'll just call you Jay, because I usually have a hard time with this name. But you want to know, is Final Fantasy 15 worth $60? Well, buddy, I paid over $200 to get the Ultimate Collector's Edition, and having actually beaten it, I would definitely say it's well worth $60. I'm not entirely sure if it should be the first Final Fantasy game that one should play. Right before the starting screen starts, it even says a Final Fantasy for fans and newcomers. I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that, because the story is quite complicated. It's probably the most complicated and convoluted Final Fantasy plot that I've played to date. That doesn't make it bad, because because when the story is good, it is really good. But at times it has an issue to drag, which, that might be an issue for someone who's not really used to the type of storytelling that Final Fantasy is known for. But if you do choose to pick it up for your first time in the franchise, I would just be cautious about that. But in terms of the actual core gameplay itself, it is absolutely excellent, and it's definitely worth the $60. So I would absolutely recommend that you pick it up. The next question comes from JayBat, and you want to know, do I think Batman will ever get a modern live-action television show other than Gotham? Warner Brothers needs to just have some balls and give us a Batman television series. We've never actually had that yet. We already in their DC television cinematic universe, they've already kind of confirmed that Batman he exists in their world, but we've not seen him. And if they can put Superman in a television show with Supergirl, which I would love for them to give Superman his own show, I see no reason why we can't use Batman. We all know Batman is the most popular superhero of all time. It would get tons of ratings. I don't know why people are still watching Gotham. I couldn't even get past halfway past the first season. I think it's just a terrible show. How they're handling all the characters is completely wrong, and it just kind of pisses me off. And it's just kind of playing out this really, really terrible fan fiction, but they don't care. And I've just had enough of that from DC as of late. So I see no reason why we shouldn't get one at this point. We deserve it. We can tell the difference between Ben Affleck's Batman and I'm sure this newer Batman. Heck, you could tell a different side of the story of Batman. There are so many directions you could take the character that would work for a television show. So I hope we get one. Next question comes from Ladybug012, and you want to know, do I think Resident Evil 7 should have a choice of a third or first person view? I'm not entirely sure, because I don't know. I just have no needs of playing it anytime soon. And the last question of the episode comes from Estenban Leon. I hope I said that right. And you want to know, Final Fantasy VII touches on a lot of grim subjects, which political correction, community, which hate. Are you afraid Square Enix is shying away from these topics? Absolutely not. Final Fantasy has had a tendency to tell a lot of different types of stories with each interpretation of the game. So I think the fact that they want to keep this trend going of telling a different type of story works very, very well. So I'm not upset about it at all. So with that, those are all the questions you guys sent in for this week. I'd like to thank all of you guys for sending in your questions. If you guys have any more questions you would like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. Make sure you get them into me before next Wednesday, before I start filming this. Like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.